I was getting stuck. Like at work, I could really execute, but I was getting stuck in my personal life. And
Hmm.
it was preventing me from becoming the new person that I wanted to become, right? The next chapter in my life, it was preventing that. And in preventing me from moving forward, it was preventing the family from moving forward. It was impacting the family in a negative way because now I wasn't providing for the family. Like the family saw me in this deer in headlights moment.
Hmm.
And my wife is the one that actually smacked me out of it, right? Um, and it worked.
Welcome to the First Responder Families podcast, sponsored by Shatterproof at FHE Health, a nationally recognized behavioral health provider. I am your host, Ivona Bhadha, a director of family services at FHE Health and a family, couples, and trauma therapist. Join me for meaningful conversations and talks that support wellness and mental health of first responders and their families. Welcome back to the First Responder Families podcast. Today's guest is Neil Schoepp, a retired police officer, firefighter who served 24 years in public safety. But his story doesn't end with retirement. In fact, it does take a powerful turn. After decades of service, Neil found the courage to ask one of the hardest questions, and it is, who am I without the uniform? And in today's conversation, we'll explore the courage to shift mindset around identity, relationships, and even success. So, welcome, Neil.
Hi, Ivana. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
Today's gonna be we're gonna actually bring the energy, actual content. Your listeners are gonna get fired up.
Yes, yes, that's I love that intention. And yeah, I think you are on some kind of mission here. What's your mission after retirement?
I, I have a mission of 112 million freedom thinkers. I was primarily in the fire department. I split my career between the police department and the fire department. 112 million. How did I come up with that number? Because in
Mm.
my firehouse, my apparatus have numerals assigned to them, 83 and 29.
Uh-huh.
Engine 83, ladder 29. And when I combine those two, it comes to 112. And I just want to have people, especially first responders, really become freedom thinkers. Somebody that think for themselves, somebody that can make the choices for themselves.
Wow. How did that idea occur to you? Like first time, any turning point you remember?
You kind of brought it up in the introduction, right? Like I retired from the fire department,
Huh?
and now I spent 24 years, not including my volley time, so it's closer to like 28 years, 30 years of my life, more than half my life as a first responder.
Yeah.
And now I retire, and what am I going to do? Like, who am I? I felt like I was nobody without the uniform because my identity was tied to that uniform.
Mhm.
And then over the course of a couple of years and doing a lot of mindset work and a lot of thought processing and just sitting in presence, I realized that as a first responder, I wasn't a police officer or a fireman. I was someone that helped others.
Mm.
And once I flipped that switch, I then had new purpose. I had new direction. And it was the same direction and the same purpose I always had. I was just doing it or using a different tool, coaching, as opposed to the fire department. I was using a different tool to implement that. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. So you found passion in coaching. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What are some of the common obstacles, you see in thinking of first responders who come for coaching?
So, first responders are very good at executing on the job. They're very good at
Mhm.
problem solving. They're very good at finding solutions. But when you take them outside of that work environment and you bring them into their personal lives, a
Mhm.
lot of them suffer, believe it or not, they suffer from lack of confidence,
Mhm.
lack of clarity,
Mhm.
right? They, a lot of confidence, a lot of clarity. They feel as though they have to have all the answers
Mhm.
because that's who they are. They're protectors.
Mhm.
And those are the common ones that consistently pop up. The confidence. I find that a lot of them, believe it or not, a lot of them in their personal lives tend to be individuals that want to really please other people.
Mhm. Mhm.
And in that pleasing, they are always putting other people first. And
Right.
they don't take the time for themselves.
Mhm. Wow. Yeah, again, as I'm listening to you, it's like the literally obstacle, like in obstacle to clarity, to be that freedom thinker,
Yes.
just that overbearing responsibility for others and pleasing others. Uh,
Yes. And a lot of it also comes from that they're doing this every single day, right? They're problem solving, they're seeing kind of the dredges of society. So they're going through that all the time that they don't want to have to make those decisions when they get home. They just want to kind of chill out and relax and decompress.
mhm,
The problem is that they're the type of person that always wants to help.
mhm, mhm,
So they don't give themselves that time for themselves. They don't take that step back. They don't necessarily know how to say no
mhm, mhm,
because it's for them. They could tell people no in lots of different scenarios, but they don't feel like they should they should have to
mhm.
do it that way. They
Yeah.
feel like they should have the answer. They're supposed to burden that they're supposed to support all of this burden on their own shoulders without any help.
Mhm. Right. I think you are really speaking to many right now that you are that they will be resonating with that.
That's exactly how I felt. I still feel it. Like I still go through coaching to help me with the obstacles that I'm facing.
Mhm.
And those obstacles really are like always being in control, right? Always having the answer,
Mhm.
always knowing what to do or what to say. It's okay when you don't have that answer.
Yeah.
It literally is. Like, typically, the world's not going to fall apart around you because you don't have the answer.
How did you survive that? Not having the answer and maybe even saying no in places where typically you would always say yes.
So I still struggle. I still struggle with not having the answer.
Uh-huh.
Um, that's a process that I'm
Mhm.
personally going through myself.
Mhm.
But part of it starts with, and where I started was every yes is a no. So every time I say yes to something, I don't care what it is. It could be as simple as I'm saying yes to drinking this glass of water, right?
Mhm.
Every time I say yes to something, then that means my time, my focus is on that thing and it can't be on something else.
Mhm.
So what are you saying yes to? And more like that's where you start. But it's saying yes to whatever it is, what are you saying no to?
Mhm.
And a
Mhm.
lot of times you will say yes to someone's request at the detriment of you.
Mhm.
And that's who you're saying no to.
Yeah.
And we're very good at saying no to ourselves.
Yes, yes. And can I share something with you? What
Sure.
I notice in my work with first responders, over time, saying so many yeses becomes a rebellion, and they say yes to them, but often it's through alcohol or through just isolating, or
Hmm.
emotional kind of detachment. And it can be just saying yes to them, but through behaviors that actually are really hurting them, in a long time.
Yes.
Mm.
It's coping mechanisms. It's so, especially drinking, right? It's a
Mhm.
coping mechanism.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It
It's no
becomes
different.
yes to
It,
themselves. They deserve it.
yes.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's no different than other coping mechanisms. It's just not a coping mechanism that's
Mm.
beneficial,
Right,
right?
right.
You can get kind of the same removal from society if you I spend a lot of time outside in nature. I
Mm.
find that when I'm in nature, I get to see life's abundance. I get to see how beautiful life is. And subliminally, that's changing how I view life, right?
Mhm.
So I can either choose to go to the bar
Mhm.
or buy a six pack and sit at home and be in my own little kind of cave,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
I could expand that cave to a cave that's going to be beneficial to me.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm outside hiking, I'm getting the endorphins, I'm getting the dopamine hits, I'm seeing the abundance. You walk down a trail in the woods, like just the leaves on the tree, how many billions of leaves there are, how many different plants there are, how much oxygen is being emitted,
Mm-hmm.
how much CO is being absorbed, right? Like you
Yeah.
just watch like a little ant build its house and how diligent it is. Its little ant hill. Like it could be so many different things. Bees. Watch a bee go from flower to flower. It actually creates proper thinking. It helps you bring calmness into your life. It helps you bring peace into your life.
Yeah.
And when you start seeing the positives, you start building on those positives.
Yeah. So, so tell me, Neil, about the phenomenon of choice that that brings someone who is listening may already thinking about their own coping mechanisms, beneficial and less beneficial. Where is the momentum of choice?
So you start small, right? Like whenever I have somebody that comes to me, I
Uh-huh.
always tell them to really dumb whatever it is that they're struggling with,
Hmm.
right? And whatever it is that they are looking to go to. How am I going to get there? People get stuck on the how all the time.
Yeah.
The how is
Mhm.
just dumbing it down to its very simplistic pieces,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that when you take an action on one of those real simple tasks, you can then move forward. When
Mhm.
you get that win of taking that, literally, like just leave you want to start exercising. I want to start exercising. I want to start running. Leave your shoes out at the front door. Your sneakers out at the front door,
Mhm.
so that when you come home, you can just put your sneakers on and you can go for your run.
Mhm.
But that's just the first step, because what happens is you see your sneakers at the front door and you're like, oh, well, I took the energy, I made the commitment to put the sneakers by the front door. Eventually, you're going to put those sneakers on. Eventually, you're going to lace them up. Eventually, you're going to go outside. Eventually, you're going to walk. Then, you're going to run. It's bringing the individual parts down to its most simplistic form. And in doing so, you make it easy for yourself to do. The easier you make it for yourself to do, the more momentum you're going to gain because you're going to actually do those easy tasks.
Right. Would you give us example how you did it in your own life?
So building the coaching business, right? Like I was completely overwhelmed with everything that I wanted to do. I needed to have a website. I needed to have an Instagram channel. I needed to physically learn coaching,
Yes.
right? I have to get a payment portal. I have to get worksheets, like all of these things. Bring it down to what's just, instead of saying I have these 12 things to do, say, all right, what's the one thing I'm going to do? Okay, today I'm going to work on building the air system. We're going to talk about air,
Yeah.
building the air system,
Uh-huh.
right? So now, how do you build the air system? I learned to build the air system by breaking it down to the very simplistic what do I know?
Hmm.
From what do I know, I listed we'll just go into air and this will be much
Yes,
easier,
yes, yes,
if you
yes.
don't mind.
That's one of the concepts you teach. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So when I was building air, I used a page from the firehouse. And in the firehouse, we'd come back from a fire, we'd sit around the kitchen table, and we'd all discuss what everybody else did because not everybody sees what everybody else does. And
Hmm.
what that does is it makes us smarter firemen so that we know if we run across the scenario that Joe ran across, oh, maybe I can implement what Joe did at that last fire at this new fire.
Oh, cool.
So I heard a quote once, a stat, and there's a little controversy around the where the stat came from. But I could tell you that there is validity to the stat, and the
Mhm.
stat is 60,000 thoughts a day, 80% are negative, 95% are repetitive.
Mhm. Let's go slower. So the listeners can really hear it.
So if I ask you, Ivana, if I ask you to guess how many thoughts do you have in a day, what would your guess be?
Mhm. I
Right?
already know, but it is in average 60,000.
It is 60,000, right? When I first heard that, I thought, no way, it can't be that many. Like I can't. There's only a certain amount of time in a day. How could I have 60,000 thoughts in a day? Like I can't remember 60,000 thoughts. So my guess was a couple of hundred.
Mm,
And it turns out that we're talking about all thoughts, and we're not talking about conscious thoughts. We're
yes.
talking about everything that runs through our mind.
Yeah.
And that's why it's 60,000.
Hmm.
Now, when you say 80% of those are negative and 95% are repetitive,
Hmm.
wonder why we're on that hamster wheel and we feel depressed. We have no self worth. We have no self confidence because we're running around. We're telling that same story over and over and over and over again. And if you don't believe that, think about the last time something happened to you and how you told everybody about it and how it ate away at you the next day and the day after and the day after. Right? So when I heard that 80% of negative, I said to myself, how can I create a 10% reduction in that? Because who wouldn't want like a 10% increase in pay, right? Who wouldn't want 10% more time off from work,
Hmm.
10% more sleep,
Yeah.
right? 10% more sunshine. Who wouldn't want 10% more? So if I could reduce my negative thoughts by 10%, then I received a 10% advantage over everybody else walking around. Like I had a 10% advantage because my mind worked differently than other people. So what I did was I sat around my kitchen table with post-its and I took post-its and I wrote on the post-it everything I knew, every book I read, every person I spoke with, every technique I've heard of, every study like everything. I had hundreds of post-its laying around. And then I took the post-its and I said, all right, this will go with that, this will go with that, and this will go with that. And eventually, I figured out air, and I figured out how I can reduce the amount of negative thoughts I have because we have the power. You touched on it earlier. We have the power of choice. I get to choose
Uh-huh.
what I think. I get to choose what I do. I get to choose how I spend each and every moment of my day. They're all choices that I make.
So,
In doing that, I found Shishikenko.
yeah, tell us about that. I love
A stands for awareness, interrupt, and replace. Become aware of the thought, interrupt the thought, replace the thought. How do I become aware of my thoughts, right? If I want to change anything, it doesn't matter if it's a thought or not. I have to be aware that it's happening. I have to shine light on it. So
Mhm.
how do I become aware of the thought? I walk around all the time. This is going to sound a little strange, and I don't recommend doing it out loud if you're in public.
Mhm.
I do
Mhm.
it inside my head while I'm out in public. But I walk around practicing Shishikenko. And Shishikenko is a Japanese, it was designed in Japan. In Japan's rail system, they were having a lot of accidents. And they came up with Shishikenko. And when you translate it, it literally means point and call.
Mhm.
And when they instituted this in Japan, they saw an 85% reduction in accidents almost immediately, like within days. 85% reduction. So
Amazing.
if this works for them in real life, it has to work for me. So what it is I'll walk around and I'll be like right now, right this second, whether you're driving in a car, you're swimming underwater, it doesn't matter. I want you to look at something and call it out. Light, microphone, laptop, lady, man, mouse, water. And what you're doing is you're interrupting that thought cycle. Because the problem is there's a study at Harvard that says we spend 50% of our day in autopilot. 50% of our waking day, not even our full day, our waking day in autopilot. You don't believe me? When's the last time you drove down the highway past three signs, three exits, and you don't remember passing the exits? Or better yet, when's the last time you were in a blackout, you walked into a dark room, and you were fighting with the light switch because it wouldn't come on?
Uh-huh.
Like, what's wrong with
Yeah.
this light? Oh, we're in a blackout,
Yes.
right? Because you're doing things out of autopilot. Shishikenko lets you become more present. Now you're not just walking past the tree or the stop sign or the crosswalk. You're not driving past the speed limit sign or the guardrail, right? The pavement markings. You're actually calling them out. You're starting to slow things down. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You're starting to slow things down so that you can identify them. Now, what happens is when you have a thought, it doesn't just randomly blaze through
Mm.
your mind, right? Now, because you're used to calling things out, you call that thought out. Whoa, hold on a second. I know this is interrupt now. I know you're trying to protect me. I know you got my back. I appreciate you having my back, but I'm going to choose. Very important word there, right? I'm making the choice. I'm going to choose to think this.
Mhm.
And that moves us to R, which is replace. And just switch 180 degrees that thought.
Yeah.
I can't becomes I can. I'm not becomes I am.
Mhm.
And that's the easiest way of learning air, right? That's the air 101.
Mhm.
And when you do that, you start changing your default way of thinking.
Absolutely. That's so important.
And what happens is, and this is my golden rule because you just learned this technique, you're going to go back, you're going to have a thought today, and you're not going to realize you had that thought until tonight. And you're going to beat yourself up. Oh, I'm such a. No, you're not a dope. The first step's awareness. It doesn't say awareness in the moment, it says awareness. So when you become aware of that thought, even though it's tonight or tomorrow morning, you you become aware of the thought. Is the thought serving me? No, it's not. I interrupt the thought. I thank it for its service. I send it on its way and I swap it out. And you're going to do that maybe 24 hours after you have the thought. But as you practice this, it's going to get reduced from 24 to 12, and then 9, and then 7. And then you're going to be doing it in the moment. And this is where the real gold comes, Ivana.
Oh,
You're going to do this in autopilot. You're going because you've trained your mind that this is how we operate.
Hmm.
You're going to start doing it in autopilot without even realizing it. And that's how you get that 80% to 70%.
Hmm.
And that's how you, that 95% that's repetitive, well, now it's repeating 30% positive number
Yeah.
instead of 20%, right?
And you change how you think of yourself.
You start chipping away at things. You start paying attention. I pay attention to wins. So I'll list out my wins every day. I'll list out what I'm grateful for every day. I'll list out a lesson I learned every day, right? I set my day up very intentional so that I am in command of it and I give
Mm.
my day direction. People feel stuck. They want, oh, I want this, I want this. They know what to do. They're just not taking the action. And they're not taking the action because their subconscious isn't allowing them to take the action.
Right.
Their emotions are preventing them. They know logically that what they should be doing, and they want to do it.
Mm.
The reason why they're not doing it is because their subconscious is really running the show. Everything we do is done from an emotional reasoning first. And then it's kicked up to our prefrontal cortex, and we logically find reasons through bias. We find reasons why we need that new pen or that new sweater or that new car or that new house. But it's all done emotionally. So if we could dig down into that emotion, and if we could bypass, what I coach guys on is how to bypass the subconscious, because the subconscious is there to keep us safe. Our mind's job is to keep us safe, is meant for survival. It's not meant for growth. Our
Mhm.
mind's not meant for growth. Growth actually scares it because growth means unknown. And
Mhm.
our subconscious doesn't like the unknown.
Mhm. Right. And is it air technique or tool or other things how you can bypass subconscious?
So the way you bypass your subconscious is by making it so small your subconscious can't even recognize it.
Wow,
That's
that's a
that's
huge,
how you
yeah.
that's how you do it. So think of a file cabinet. Your subconscious is just a file cabinet, and every sheet of paper that you put into that file cabinet is directions on how to do something. So what happens is when your subconscious, when you come upon something that is new, your subconscious will then go to its file cabinet, look through all its files, and say, "This is similar. Let's relate this present experience to this in the past." And we're writing our actions off our past.
Hmm.
And that's what our subconscious is doing. That's why we're not growing. That's why we're not accomplishing what we want to accomplish. Because if we write what we want to do off our past, it's it's not going to work because our past is very limited. Our past is what got us here right now. And
Hmm.
if we want to change where we are right now, we can't follow the same thinking, right? Einstein said that. You
Yes.
can't solve the problem with the same thinking that created the problem.
Hmm.
So what you have to do then is you have to change the process, right? Change the process of what you're doing. So you need to look out into the future. You need to have that vision, that purpose, that new identity. But in creating that new identity, you're going to feel imposter syndrome is a big thing that we deal with. You're going to feel like an imposter. Well, let me ask everybody out there, right? You have all first responders, cops, firemen, EMS.
Hmm.
Think about your first couple of days on the job. You felt like an imposter, didn't you? I literally stood in a doorway in New York City. I was 20 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. They handed me a badge and a gun and a uniform and made me look all spiffy and shiny and said, "Go out there, figure it out." And I'm standing in a doorway praying nobody asks me a question because I don't have the answer. Like, what am I supposed to do? And the answer is simply, I just call somebody else. If I literally don't know what to do, just call somebody else. Somebody else will take a ride by and they'll show me what to do, right? But as that new guy stepping into that new identity, I was just like beside myself. But now let me ask the guys that are out there right now, the guys and the gals, how do you feel now when you're 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years into it? There's no imposter syndrome because your mind already knows what to expect.
Mm. You're bringing up great points.
So how do we burst through that imposter syndrome? How do we burst through that uncertainty? How do we burst through or fight our mind's natural reaction to keep us safe?
Mhm.
We make it so small, so insignificant that it doesn't come up on their radar, right?
Mhm.
If you think about it, like think about it in military terms, right? You have the fighter jet that's flying in or the bomber that's flying in. They fly low under the radar because if the radar detects them, then the radar tries to destroy them. So how do I get to my target without alerting anybody? I fly low. I fly under the radar.
Mhm.
That's what dumbing things down. That's what going to the very simplistic steps of it does. If I say I'm going to run a marathon, my mind screams at me, oh my Lord, you're going to get hurt. It's going to be like 26 miles. Your body's going to ache. You're going to have blisters on your feet. You don't know how to do this. You never ran a marathon before. But if I just simply say, I'm going to put my running shoes at the front door, my mind doesn't think anything about that.
Mhm.
And then in that, I pay attention to, okay, at the end of the day, what went right today? I put my running shoes out. That sounds trivial, but that's a win because that action was intentionally done to eventually get me to the point that I'm going to be a healthier person or I'm going to run a marathon or
Mhm.
whatever it may be. The same thing with air. When I sat down, when I said I was going to find a solution to 80% negative, 95% repetitive, and I sat down, my mind didn't fight me on it because it's something I did my entire career. I
Mhm.
sat down and I thought about the things that I did, and then I correlated those things together. This will help that. I
Yeah.
learned about Shishikenko. Shishikenko is about awareness. We're going to put that in the awareness column. We're going to find a place to use that.
Mhm.
But my mind wasn't fighting me on this because it's something that I've always done.
This is a
And
great
that's,
example.
I'm sorry, that's how you sneak it past.
Mhm. That's a great example. Just the small, achievable steps, like almost
Yes.
like a baby steps, which can be triggering for some, you know, people out there who have done great things. But it is a brain hack, to get you to the next place in life because we are changing all the time.
Yes.
Mm.
So let me touch upon that too. Let me crush that limiting belief. Because you said baby steps could be triggering to people that have done great things.
Hmm.
How did they like really sit down in a quiet place and think about how you created those great things, how you did those great things? You didn't all of a sudden just burst onto the scene knowing what you were doing and just doing it, right? It was all small steps that you took to get there. Me as a police officer, I had to literally put the uniform on and walk out of the station house. I had to walk my foot post, right?
Mm.
I had to stand in that doorway. I had to put myself out there. It was small inoculations so that I would take the next step without even thinking about it.
Hmm.
Driving's a perfect example. Almost everybody here drives. When you first got behind the wheel, you drove 10 miles an hour. You thought you were going 60 miles an hour, and you had to do like, it took 10 minutes just to put the car in drive, right? I had to check my mirrors, my fuel gauge. I had to make sure my seatbelt was on. Was I at a proper distance away from the foot pedals? Like all of these things you had to go through. Now you jump into the car, and it's like, boop, 3 seconds later, you're driving down the driveway. No big deal. But in the beginning, you weren't doing those great things of just driving the car. It had to be small incremental steps, inoculations to get you to the level and to the point. You had to keep leveling up. We constantly level up in life,
Hmm.
but when we hear the phrase level up, we're like, oh, I can't do that, or oh, it's foo-foo, or oh, that's mindset stuff. But we're leveling up every single day, right? One day we're single, then we asked somebody out. The next day we're having children and we're parents,
Hmm.
right? One day we're not driving, then we are driving. One day we're not in a career, then we are in a career. And within that career, we're getting promotions. Like we're leveling up all the time. We just don't realize it because, again, it's kind of happening in that autopilot. So if we can set intentions and we can use autopilot to our advantage instead of fight it,
Hmm.
we're off to the races.
Yeah. You know what? I just want to really like highlight your book, Results Over Excuses. It's actually a journaling book, but what caught my attention is writing intention the night before. I never
Yes.
did before that, and I love the impact. But what is the science or your
Uh,
methodology behind it?
So the whole journal is based on science.
Yeah, I believe
And
that.
the science is so first off, when you wake up in the morning, you're like, what am I going to do today? That's the first question you ask you. Like one of the first questions, like what am I going to do today? What has to get done today? Like you're just allowing the things that arise in life to direct your life. When I use my journal,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I do before I go to sleep at night is I list out the three intentions I have for tomorrow. And those three intentions are written hard and fast. So I will accomplish these three things tomorrow before I go to sleep. So the quicker I bang them out, the quicker I can deal with life and put life's fires out because life is gonna things are gonna pop up, right? You're gonna go outside, you're gonna have a flat tire, and now all of a sudden it's 2 hours changing the flat tire, a dead battery, or the kid gets sick and you gotta run them to the doctors. Just fill in the blank. Like it happens every day. Just expect it. It's gonna happen. But what I do is the night before I set my intentions for the day. And now when I wake up, I don't have to think to myself, what should I do today? Or what has to get done? I have it right there. And I actually transfer my three intentions from the journal to a post-it. I started this out on a post-it. I would take a magic marker and a post-it. I do a lot of work with post-its, huh? I would write out the three things that I was going to
Mm-hmm.
do, what my three intentions were, and I'd lay it on my laptop. So when I came down in the morning, and I opened my laptop, I knew there was no thought. These are the three things that I'm going to deal with, right? Whatever they may be. What are the three things? The intention should really be the three things that are going to move the needle towards where you're looking to go,
I
towards the
like that.
future you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it comes out to, I have it written in the back of the journal, but it comes out to something like 550 individual intentions over the course of 6 months. So imagine if you're taking 560 tiny steps towards where you want to go, your future self.
Hmm.
Like it's impossible not to hit it at some point in time.
And just hearing you, the thing doesn't feel overwhelming. Just the way how you explain,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
the overwhelm will make us do, I think overwhelm and hesitations, right? Like they'll just make us to stop and not even start.
A deer in headlights. And that's what I was doing. I was overthinking buying a mouse or buying a speaker, a Bluetooth speaker. Like I would overthink everything to nauseam. And it's because, like, in the first responder world, when I was a cop and a fireman, I had already thought through so many different scenarios that I knew exactly what to do, regardless of what happened. So I would just execute. And if I came across something, I had the confidence in myself that I would figure it out. But
Mhm.
when you come into your private life and you get stuck on, am I going to buy this? What Bluetooth speaker am I going to buy? And then I'm going into research mode and research and analysis paralysis.
Mhm.
What I found was it's because I didn't know anything. So I had to kind of do my research first. But then I got caught up in like loss aversion. If I buy this speaker, is it am I going to be wasting my money? And it goes into lots of different areas. And when again, when you just break that task down into the smallest of its steps and you give yourself like a deadline, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to like look for one day, I'm going to look at different speakers, and then I'm going to choose the top three speakers, and then I'm going to buy one of the top three. Don't get into the nitty gritty of like the nuances. My wife taught me that because when I left the fire department, I went into real estate and I was looking at different real estate markets. And she said to me, I was on five markets, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know what market. They're all really good. And she's like, just make a decision already. Like take a dart and throw it at a dartboard. She
Mhm.
literally said that to me. She said, if you took a dart and threw it at your list,
Mhm.
would you be upset if it landed on any one of those? I'm like, no. She said, then just pick one of them.
Mhm.
Just pick one of them. Go visit the market and see what happens. And that's what I realized that I was getting stuck. Like at work, I could really execute, but I was getting stuck in my personal life. And
Mhm.
it was preventing me from becoming the new person that I wanted to become, right? The next chapter in my life. It was preventing that. And in preventing me from moving forward, it was preventing the family from moving forward. It was impacting the family in a negative way because now I wasn't providing for the family. Like the family saw me in this deer in headlights moment.
Mhm.
And my wife is the one that actually smacked me out of it, right? And it worked,
Mhm.
right? And then when I start thinking about that, like, okay, so now I have the list of Bluetooth speakers. Okay, well, all three of these speakers are going to do the same thing for me. I don't need to like just make a decision because at the end of the day, if I don't like the speaker nowadays, I can just send it back to Amazon.
Right. Yeah.
Send it back. I'll take the next speaker.
Yeah. You are sharing with us, powerful and just few of many that you discovered, throughout your professional life. I really love the idea of the skills, the actually talents that you had as first responder. You're
Yes.
bringing it more into like purpose and meaning and being a coach and also taking care of yourself, it's so
Yes.
important. Mm.
Taking care of yourself is so in the first responder world. I'd love to touch on this if you don't
Mhm.
mind. In the first responder world, I grew up in the first responder world in the 90s.
Mhm.
Um, and back then it was just grind through it, just grit your teeth, just push all of those emotions down,
Mhm.
right? Like just
Mhm.
but when you push your emotions down, when you try and push them into a box and you try and just put them over there and you don't acknowledge them, you don't let them kind of flow through. And this is, I was the guy that was pushing things into a box in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Mhm.
And when I was doing that, that's just how I was trained. That's how it was done.
Mhm.
That's like be a man, man up.
Mhm.
Like you're supposed to be able to take all of this. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be able to see a child mutilated.
Mhm.
or I'm supposed to be able to see a plane fly into a tower and that tower collapse literally at my feet.
Mhm.
I'm supposed to be able to do that and just push that out.
Mhm.
And just when you acknowledge those things,
Mhm.
let them flow through you, have conversations with individuals.
Yeah. Mhm.
Just don't, when you push it down, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about when you're pushing those emotions down, you're blowing into a balloon.
Mhm.
And that balloon inflates and it
Mhm.
inflates and it inflates. What happens on that last breath? It pops. It
Mhm.
pops because it can't hold it anymore.
Mhm. Mhm.
Whereas if you would blow into the balloon, that's you kind of taking your emotion and putting it to the side to get through the incident.
Mhm.
But now, when you come back to the station house or the firehouse, you go talk to somebody. That was a really rough one, wasn't it? And that's you letting the air out of the
The
balloon so
balloon.
that the
Mhm.
balloon never gets to the point that it expands and explodes. When you push things down, you're holding them under pressure. And eventually, those emotions are going to want to escape. And you have to give it
Mhm.
the space to escape. How do you do that? For me, it was just talking to other guys about the rough jobs, about what happened on the call, about that first responder humor that most people don't get, about just doing those things. When you go through that process, you're making you're bringing a little peace to you. So don't compress. Let those emotions expand, let them flow through. If you can't talk to somebody at work, then you may be able to talk to a buddy at home. And if you have to, then go talk to a therapist.
Mhm.
Therapists have a very negative connotation around them, but it's not that way. Like, just having those conversations, just having the conversation
Yes. Yeah.
sometimes is enough because
Mhm.
now it's being acknowledged.
Mhm. Yeah.
If I took you as an individual and I shoved you into a closet and I didn't acknowledge you, what would you do? You'd bang on the door. You'd
Mhm.
get my attention. Your emotions are doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
don't just push them into a box. You have to have some kind of release. Whether that's exercise. Some guys deal with it through exercise, pushing their bodies to the umpteenth level is therapy for some guys. It's therapy for me even now in this day.
Yeah.
And I'm out of the field for 10 years.
You provided us a powerful metaphor and even visualization of the just balloon, is inflated, and internal space is shrinking because there's so much compartmentalization.
Yes.
So, what would you whisper into the ear of that 19, 20-year-old Neil in his new uniform, as a police officer? If there is a piece of wisdom that you would whisper
It's
to
it's
his,
okay to feel
wow,
honest. Like that's it's okay to feel.
it's
I'm
a,
doing a lot of work with my emotions now, like with coaches,
Mhm.
and it's okay to feel. Like you're allowed to feel. Because back then I thought that I had to be that man, right? I had to be the guy that pushed things
Yeah.
into the corner and just like put it into like a little jail cell over there.
Mhm.
And that's not, everybody has to find their happy medium where they are pushing things aside at the appropriate time, but then you also allow that to see the light of day Otherwise, it's going to keep pushing on you.
Mhm. No doubt about that. It's so amazing to sit here with you, Neil, and we are landing on such a powerful connotation about feelings and even shifting that mindset, right?
Yes.
Because it was misinformation to begin with, but it
Hmm.
was what many people started in 90s and 2000, and it's changing slowly, and you are part of that changing world. I believe strongly about coaching. You certainly have an amazing product out there, and your lived experience and mission to bring first responders, on the same territory, like other people have
Yes.
that advantage. Us as therapists, we get so much validation about doing our own work, right?
Hmm.
This is so amazing, and I hope I will have you on the show again, and hopefully the first responders we work with, and their families find this talk inspirational as I found it, and enlightening, and bringing some hope.
It was great being here, sharing my experiences, a couple of stories with you. And it is my hope that it was extremely impactful.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it's about. It's about somebody dragged me up the mountain. So
Mhm.
now I have to reach down the mountain and bring the next guy up. It's just paying it forward.
Yes, amazing. And creating a peaceful community, bringing more peace to to
Yes.
our world. You still are that first responder,
Yes.
bringing peace and safety.
It's never gonna leave.
Thank you so much. And dear listeners, up until next time, I hope you found this conversation impactful, and be safe out there and take care of self and each other. Thank you for tuning in. The First Responder Families podcast is sponsored by Shadowproof at FHE Health, a specialized treatment program for first responders with mental health and/or substance use issues. For more information about our show and our services, check out fhehealth.com. The podcast website also has a place where you can share your ideas or questions for future shows. If you are struggling, we want to help. Feel free to call us at 844-714-3403 or visit fhehealth.com. We look forward to having you join us for our podcast next month. Until then, take care.